All right, let's call to order the special meeting of the Solvang City Council, March 20th, 2020, 7 p.m. This is the emergency special council meeting regarding COVID-19. Could I get a roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Clark,
Here.
Councilmember DeJarnius,
Here.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Waite,
Here.
Mayor Toussaint.
Here. Robert, may I lead us in the pledge?
Yes, please. Stand, place your right hand over your heart. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start off with public communications, written or verbal. We've made online availability public at cityofsolvang.com or council@cityofsolvang.com. We have not received any public communications through that format as of yet, I don't believe. So I'll just move into our first speaker slip, Tracy Beard.
Hi, my name is Tracy Beard. I'm with the Chamber of Commerce. I'm here today to talk about what is happening with where we're at for COVID-19, the pandemic that has left the small business America entrepreneurs of the town of Solvang on the brink of collapse through no fault of their own. People are struggling with our business community here at this time, are being forced to lay off hardworking employees in masses. Immediate action has been taken by Congress and the SBA administration. The Solvang Chamber is here to help assist these businesses in our community. Our Solvang Chamber is an SBDC office with SBA since October of 2019 with the EDC in Ventura County. The Chamber has had the federal declaration since Tuesday morning here from Salud's office, which we helped with many of our businesses do that. Many of our applicants have already started Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and we're getting kickbacks. The system was bouncing back because of the overload. So I want to know that we do have the declaration, and if they go on today, they should be able, Santa Barbara County should be able to start putting their loans through. We do ask, the Chamber has changed their website. We are updating all the information. We have about 40 different sites people can go to, but this for understanding how to fill out loans, how to lay people off, all of these different things that we're experiencing, MLF. We've been through probably already 19 calls that we've had to been trained. I just recently got trained in the last 2 days on helping people process their loans. Now, in summary, the federal government has these loans more quickly and easy than we've ever seen before. In fact, it's become somewhat standard. The breath time of the loans are different than what we've seen in the previous disaster that we helped people here. We helped 7 people here during the flood disaster that you know, and the 101 was closed. Many of our businesses qualify for economic injury. It is widespread, SBDC, SBA in Santa Barbara County, Ventura. We would like them to use that site as opposed to the SBA national site. We have people on staff to move those loans quicker and faster down there in Ventura County, and we need to have people doing that. I've given you all the care kit. We've been putting out the kit all week for everyone that indicates the openness and urgency to move quicker and faster. You can find the details on our Solvang Chamber of Commerce website. I have given the toolkit out. We have put the toolkit out every single day, at least twice, with the EDC collaborative. I've given you the upload so you can go in and see the slideshow. The one-page disaster, it's a process, a 3-point process on it. The Solvang Chamber sponsored a letter today with the U.S. Chambers of Commerce for a no interest with our nonprofits today because they're suffering greatly for no interest loans on the virus. We ask that we help just do another declaration here, but the declaration's already been done, and here it is for you. I'm sure you already have it, but that was one of the problems we were seeing with some of the businesses as we were talking to them. We launched our website on a new protocol in 2 different places, as you see on the Chamber website, and we're just here to assist and help our businesses. And I've done this with Ryan in the past, and I think we can help our businesses here at this time.
Tracy, do you have any rough estimate for how many businesses have approached you so far for help applying for an SBA loan?
17 so far, and we're probably going to have more. They were getting kickbacks, so they weren't trying at this time. I'm going to tell you, this is, as I went through today, we're definitely in a disaster at this time, and we're with the rest of the country, but we are more so because we are tourism. And we talk every day as chamber directors. We talked last week, we met as chamber directors. All of us did. We talked again today, back and forth. We also met with the Hourglass and Slow Project today to understand where we need to go with this and how fast. And this is happening more so in tourist communities. The economic trend is, it's hurting us even more so than the ones that have like freeways where over in Bealton, they're still running because they have a lot of bigger businesses and that. So we do need to pay attention more so, and we're just here to help you for our business community, for the Chamber of Commerce. But we have been trained on this. We've had the federal contract since October. And it was kind of a little slow contract that didn't get a lot of notice, and we had already 7 people signed in on that contract at the time to help them with business loans. And we've done over 24 educational classes this last year. The Chamber has with SBDC and those organizations.
Great, thank you. And we've also listed the Chamber's links on the solvingresources.com website. Awesome, thank you.
They want to repeat Solvang?
Oh, again, that's solvingresources.com. I have no other public speaker slips. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this during public communications? Seeing none, move on to the next agenda item. Item number 1, executive reports. City Manager.
So today is a special council meeting regarding the COVID-19. We are here to talk about the emergency declared for COVID-19. We've had declarations of emergency by President Trump at the national level. We have a state declaration of emergency from state of California. And then, as you know, at the last special emergency meeting, we talked about the fact that Santa Barbara County had enacted declaration of emergency. This is an unprecedented event impacting nations across the world, and there is a lot of unknown. So today we are here. One of your items is going to be for the city of Solvang to declare a state of emergency as a local city as well, and it would be a declaration of emergency for both public health and safety emergency and for economic cessation emergency for the city of Solvang. So economic cessation concept for the declaration for city of Solvang is that impacts worldwide in the United States from COVID-19 are wildly unknown. It's a unprecedented event that we haven't seen before impacting our nation and worldwide economies as well. For example, and I had it in my staff report, Goldman Sachs now says that US GDP will shrink 24% next quarter amid the coronavirus pandemic, which would be 2.5 times bigger than any decline in history. So this is just one organization, but obviously a sizable one making the statement. I think economists are still working through this process. So we need to work with our federal agencies and state agencies to get all the aid that we can from that process. The federal government is being proactive in putting together an economic stimulus program. But in the meantime, Solvang is heavily dependent on tourism industry. We have, most of our businesses are restaurants, wineries, bakeries, retail shops, and entertainment. More so, we have a lot of small businesses. So as Tracy from Chamber just mentioned, unlike other jurisdictions that may be more diverse, we have all of our concentration is on small businesses, and they are all tourist related. So what we see right now is that our economy has really stopped over the last week. I mean, we've seen it day after day to where it's just been dying completely, and right now the town is pretty much completely empty. So we do have economic cessation in the city of Solvang. We expect that to pretty much stop most of our general fund revenues coming in, and our businesses and workforce are also extremely impacted. So we are working with federal and state governments. There's coordination going on across all of those branches. We have constant briefings, calls with the White House, with the state, and then with county. The Federal Emergency Management Agency is activated, level 1. The city will apply for all available funding through emergency declarations. However, thus far, most of the funding, it seems like, is going towards health response. However, federal government is actively working on putting together economic stimulus. We have not seen it yet, and we don't have the details on that. But we are hearing definitely that the federal government understands that for economy to come back, it will require significant spending. So I wanted to really quickly just show a couple of websites and what it looks like. We have 2 websites, and one is really set up for COVID-19 with lots of resources. One is on the city, so I'll go to those really quick here. So if you go to our city website, you will see emergency alert, and then there is a page with information for coronavirus. And actually, since our city hall is now closed, based on the health orders to the public in person, we are still providing all services to our citizens. We are just doing it electronically. So if anybody goes to this website, we have resources that link to other jurisdictions and other resources from state and federal governments, but it also has all the information here for contacting City Hall during this emergency. So you can see for general inquiries and all different aspects of city operations, there is an email list set up to where you will receive a response by contacting that number. We also have here press releases that come into the city and any updates that we might take into effect for the city operating during this emergency in terms of our regulations. So for example, we are promoting sign restrictions that are eased up right now to promote curb pickup for the restaurants that are still providing food. So even though under our normal operations, certain sign ordinance, certain signs would not be allowed, this here allows restaurants to put up signs that they are available for curb pickup.
I'm sorry, do you know how many restaurants we have? I'll wait till you're done. Go ahead. We're doing that, but I'll wait till you're done.
We also have set up a special website specifically for this emergency response. And this here, we've actually been working with IDK, our marketing consultant, on this website to do what we can to help our businesses and our residents in this time. So this includes different resources, and it's constantly updated. We have resources for travel, business, health resources, updates from the city hall, city and county resources, and then restaurants and food where people can find out who is still available for them to do pickups. Oops. So I just wanted to also read out the statement that was made by the federal government during one of our briefings that says that even though risk for average Americans remains low, risk to vulnerable population is high, and there isn't a specific definition that they give for vulnerable population. However, they keep talking about that being older people, and especially those with pre-existing conditions or older with pre-existing conditions. So how is emergency management managed? It's supported by federal government, managed by states, and then executed by local governments, county and cities. So the County of Santa Barbara has activated County Emergency Center. It's available for calls only at this point. And the city manager serving as Director of Emergency Services has also begun activation of local emergency center here for us at the city, where we can service specific local needs of our city. We will ensure that we serve all of our residents and businesses to provide all essential services, which are, we will focus on water, sewer, and clean streets. We have some hand sanitizers coming into town, even though those are backed up. We will provide consistent communication channels, create programs for residents and businesses to help with immediate needs, and we will work with federal and state programs to seek resources. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay. Are there any questions of the staff report? Or report?
Yeah, I got a quick question. Go ahead, Robert. You were the first to.
Do you know how many restaurants?
Microphone.
Do you know how many restaurants in town are doing the curbside? Do you know, Tracy?
Tracy, if you can approach the.
Thanks, Tracy.
8 at this moment. We did all the phone calls of how many hotels, restaurants were closed, and retails. We did all the phone calls today. That
Is
what
that
my
on your
staff did.
website yet?
It is on our website
Great.
and should be updated. We send it at 5 o'clock to our person that does the updating, so it should
Okay.
be done by this evening. And also, I wanted to say that business owners can now apply for unemployment. This is the first time it's ever been done as an owner. So
Wow.
we need to let business owners know that. We've gone through some extensive training on that, and we have PowerPoints on our website for that. And we need to let people know. And the Santa Barbara Foundation did a webinar, which is on our website, and it's a talking webinar with points from an attorney who did that. So we need to let people know that. That's very important because probably about 60% of our business owners are small and they've never done that before.
Thank you.
Quick question. Have you been working at all with
Can we be mindful of the microphones? I'm sorry.
Have you been working at all with Brenda Ball as far as she said that they're going around trying to figure out what businesses are still open and what they're doing as well? Just another
We sent the
resource
list
for you.
to her.
Okay.
We sent the list. We had people working on it. She did it. We sent the list, but it's a moving target.
Yeah, that's what she
from
said.
yesterday today to tomorrow.
Anyway, she just seemed like a good resource because I know they're walking around. They're still there, so they're walking out and about and checking. So
Well, we feel we were a good resource because most of ours are chamber members, so we worked together and we sent it out and we did the final today.
And I just want to once again bring us back to this solvangresource.com. That's an all-encompassing website by the city that also has this restaurants and food services on it. So as I'm scrolling down, it lists who is open, when they're open, what kind of food it is, and it also has an option for businesses to
They can just add themselves in.
themselves to the list.
That's
So it's down
fantastic.
below.
Yeah, that's great. Good stuff, IDK.
Nice job.
Yeah, and just to show some of the other resources here, if you go to, for example, city and county resources, it's very well populated with all sorts of links going to all the resources that are related to COVID-19.
You guys threw this together in 1 week?
It's been less than a week, yeah, this was thrown together in just a few
That's
days.
fantastic. Great job, staff. Fantastic work.
I mean, who would have thought, a few months ago that you would be put in this kind of position, in the position that you're in? It's just,
And we are frankly very lucky to be working with a firm that's marketing that's also very highly qualified on logistics, and they've just jumped in and have become our right hand in terms of managing this emergency.
that's great.
I think they put this site together in like 12 hours or less. So
Yeah, wonderful.
It's amazing the interactive things that they've been able to do as well. Again, I would note on this one, they confirmed with all of those restaurants, both that they were open, what their hours are, what the contact information is, and then they're able to come back in if they change their hours or change any of the information.
And what is that main website? Which?
solvangresources.com.
Thank you.
And what about hotels?
Link on our site.
So here we don't have hotels, I believe, as of yet, but I mean, they're empty right now, as far as we're hearing. I mean, yeah, they're
I
open and empty.
was wondering if they were open, so I appreciate that.
Well, several hotels are actually closed.
Right.
They're also working on putting a link there where people can come in and report what their impacts have been by month, so that the city can track that, so that when we do start, submitting claims and submitting requests for reimbursement and impact reimbursement, we actually will have the information by month starting in January. And IDK has put together a whole list of questions, hopefully that people will be able to interact on.
That's fantastic
Yeah,
stuff. Good
they're
stuff.
still working on the app, but it's pretty much done, and it will be a database that creates for us as the city capability to then pass on that information to the federal government and state government and see what kind of relief we as the city can receive from that. And just, here's a business resources. So speaking of, U.S. Small Business Administration, Economic Development Collaborative, Women's Economic Ventures, all of those resources are here on this website, including unemployment, all the workers, paid leave, all of that is here available as a resource for businesses for both their management of their business and their employees during this time.
So we're going online.
We are very quickly going online, both in City Hall and in the city of Solvang as a whole.
This is something we've been working toward for more than a year, so kudos to you guys for doing this in 1 week. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
I got a quick question regarding the help that we can expect from the federal, state, and county service levels. I know you've been on the phone all week long talking to them, but the tourism business is a strange business. I mean, how are they going to help us?
Generally speaking, traditionally, FEMA activation is more for that emergency response, public health
Right.
type of funding. We haven't gotten specific instructions or guidelines from the state as to what they would be considering to be funded or what the time frame would be for this emergency.
So we would have to look to the state?
It goes through the state and then through the county, and that's how. So it's federal government supports, gives the money,
Like a
then
block
the state
grant?
manages, right? And then county is actually receiving all of our applications and processing that.
I guess I'm asking, I know there's no right answer here, but I'm asking in general because it seems that there's got to be a way where we can petition for some amount to recover the unexpected losses going forward, at least on a loan basis. Maybe we can borrow the money longer term.
I think our best bet is probably to be reaching out to our legislative representatives and really communicating that to Washington, D.C. They're the ones right now working on economic stimulus, so the more information we can provide to them, the more we can secure.
So we
our
need to encourage
interests.
people to use that website to
That's
report.
why we're putting these things together, so we can start tracking
Yeah.
the losses, and then that'll give us a more informed judgment as we approach these various entities for funding.
Were you talking about assistance for our city government from the state
Right,
and
for our
feds, or
city
our
government.
businesses? Okay, got it. Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, I'll go to public comment. Anyone like to speak? Ben? Yes.
Bent Olsen from Olsen's Bakery. We have decided at Olsen's Bakery to stay open as long as we possibly can because we have so much wholesale that we sell into the Lutheran Home, we sell into the Adderdag Village, which is the same thing, or many other hotels they're buying from us. So we decided we have to stay open to a certain degree. And since we have this convenient location right out to Mission Drive, easy in, easy out, we decided to stay open as long as we possibly can, with bread and pastry only for a discounted price.
Well, I'd like to think that you're an essential service.
I was just going to
We
say the
do-
same thing.
It is considered, that's why I consider myself being this. So if it's okay with the city council and the chamber, then we would like to, and it's okay with my employee, we keep 2 people at a time, and we will stay as long as we can.
I would-
And at the bakery, they come in and they are at least 6 to 7 feet apart. And we only allow 3 or 4 people in the bakery at the same time.
So we did post some information about this on the city's website, and I'll have Zena follow up with you regarding that. But there are certain accommodations that the city is allowing during this time, and it is a food service. We obviously can't override any other mandate that comes down from the state or federal or county, but otherwise, I would think that you're okay for the time being.
Okay, so let me know when it comes from
I
you
would
that
just-
I should be closing, I will close.
Yeah, I would like to say that I think the governor's latest order that came out last night was unexpected from the county level, who is kind of our communication arm between the state and the county and ourselves. And we had a call with the county actually in the afternoon where we were receiving information
Yeah.
that it would be a lot less, restrictive than what came out in the evening. So I think there's still a lot of questions, even at the county level right now, working back to the state, asking questions as to what does this mean, what's really allowable and what's not. So as state government might provide additional guidance, we might have to make certain adjustments.
Right.
But our website definitely states that we are very flexible with you putting out signs and,
We do
letting
have
people know.
hand sanitizer when they come into the bakery, and they rub
Yep.
their hands.
And we're allowing temporary signs to go up to show that you do takeout or delivery, as well as any physical modifications you need to make to help facilitate public health and safety around social distancing.
Well, they only come in for coffee and pastry and bread, and that's it.
Okay.
No service at all. Okay?
And now you know where to add your business if it's not already
Right, okay,
already
so-
listed.
Until I hear from the city that I shouldn't do it any longer, then I will stay open.
It's
Okay.
fluid.
Okay, thank you.
We appreciate you, Ben.
Zena, just out of curiosity, to be clear, they're not going to arrest anybody for frequenting his bakery, are they?
As far as enforcement, the only information we got is from the county and county sheriff's office, which is our law enforcement arm here, and they said that it's, quote, their low priority. I mean, they're focusing on, talking to people, letting them know what the rules are, making sure that they're in compliance with, outstanding orders, but they're definitely not strong arm enforcing these orders.
Yeah, I think there might be some misconception out in the public. They're thinking, are we supposed to stay at home? Is this martial law? Am I going to get arrested if I go out on the streets?
Yeah, I
Obviously,
don't-
that's not going to
We're
happen.
not at martial law yet.
Well, I don't know the way our governor
know.
has been talking. It's like, what the heck?
I know. Okay.
And then I'll just also note that the hotel closures are by the minute. There's already been a lot, but that Visit Us YV will be posting on Monday a comprehensive list of the hotels that are open. So anyone looking for that, you can find that on the solvingresources.com site, and then find the link over to Visit Us YV. Or if you're already familiar with the organization, you can find them and go seek that information on Monday. With that, we'll take this back to the council. I think we just need a motion to receive and file the city manager's report.
Or do we need to make a motion to declare the emergency as is?
Well, that's the
That's
next
next
item.
item.
recommendation?
That's the next.
That's the
item.
next item.
All right, I
I'll
think.
make a motion that we receive and report.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Roll call.
Sorry, I am,
I know.
our city clerk has told me that he was at a doctor's office today, and he's been remote social distancing himself, so I am also a city clerk, so excuse me for
That's
getting
all
that
right.
hat once in a while. Mayor Pro Tem Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember DeJarnius,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Waite,
Yes.
Mayor Toussaint.
Yes. On to item number 3. Declaration of City of Solvang COVID-19 Public Health and Safety and Economic Cessation Emergency. Can we get a staff report?
So the recommendation today is to declare City of Solvang public health and economic cessation state of emergency for the City of Solvang due to COVID-19 public health federal and state declaration of emergency directives and Santa Barbara County Health Official. The declaration states the specifics of the event and what led us to this condition, but I'll just read some of this. The conditions of disaster of the extreme peril to the safety of persons and property have arisen as a result of the introduction of the novel coronavirus, a novel communicable disease which was first detected in Wuhan, China in December 2019. COVID-19 has since spread globally to over 68 countries, infecting more than 90,000 persons and killing more than 3,000 individuals worldwide. As of March 18, 2020, there were 7,038 COVID-19 cases identified in the United States, including 598 cases in California and 2 cases in Santa Barbara County. And we actually, this is from March 18, these numbers have jumped drastically, and I actually updated the proclamation itself with today's numbers, but not the staff report. And we also recommend that economic cessation emergency should be declared. The City of Solvang is experiencing both public health and economic cessation emergency. We receive over 50% of the general fund revenue comes from transit occupancy tax and another 15% from sales tax. We expect for the time of cessation, such as we are experiencing right now, where economy is completely stopped, that we would be losing as much as approximately $500,000 per month. Our total general fund revenue for the year is $9.5 million. The order from the government goes through April 30, so we are looking at a very minimum, based on these conditions, of 2 months, with expectation that this may go longer, and recovery is also absolutely uncertain.
And we'll also have additional expenses.
And we also have additional expenses that we are continuing to evaluate, and we'll need to, as you will hear with the next items, create programs, social programs, and help programs for both our residents and our businesses to help with economic recovery. So that's the recommendation for council, to declare this declaration of emergency. This declaration of emergency will officially help us apply for federal and state aid.
Are there any questions of the council of the staff report?
No questions.
Seeing none, we'll go to the public. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on this item? I have no speaker slips. I'll take it back to the council for discussion action. This item seems rather straightforward. I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 20-1098 with the city manager adjustments and seek all available emergency funding and reimbursement as soon as possible.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded.
Mayor Pro Tem Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember DeJarnius,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Waite,
Yes.
Mayor Toussaint.
Yes. Item number 4, public and economic assistance programs for COVID-19 emergency. Could we get a staff report?
So the recommendation is to provide staff with policy direction to implement emergency aid measures for residents and businesses, including payment deferrals for the city of Solvang. The city, as the most direct government of the city of Solvang residents, recognizes the need to aid residents and businesses as we work through this uncertain territory for COVID-19 national disaster. As a tourist destination, we are severely impacted by the transpiring events surrounding COVID-19. We recognize that public assistance is needed, and staff is prepared to develop programs, including the following. Implement a policy not to shut off water or sewer for non-payment during the state of emergency. Waive late penalties to residents and businesses. Number 2, establish emergency loan assistance program to small businesses who have suffered significant losses as a result of COVID-19. This includes helping the businesses get back and provide local jobs. Waive all penalties. Number 3, waive all penalties for non-payment of transient occupancy tax with proof of financial hardship and establish a program for repayment. Number 4, provide partnerships with financial institutions and lenders to prohibit foreclosures or halt mortgage payments for individuals who have suffered loss of wages as a result of COVID-19. Number 5, potential resources and partnerships to safely assist people under self-quarantine due to COVID-19, prioritizing seniors. We can encourage delivery of services, for example. Number 6, establish a recovery program including training and resources for residents and businesses. We are still working on the numbers in terms of creating these programs to be meaningful and impactful. One of the areas of consideration is that there is very much unknown at this point in terms of guidelines and funding availability from the federal and state government, and we definitely want to be very vigilant in applying for those resources for our city. But as the local government and able to act quickly to relieve the most needed points of pain here in our community, the recommendation is to provide with some meaningful help and set some budget amounts for us to provide to our most needed businesses and residents.
Okay. Are there questions of the staff report?
No.
Okay. Seeing none. Go to the public. I have no speaker slips on this item. Would anyone like to speak to this item? Seeing none, I'll take it back to the council for discussion and action. Is there a public comment? No? Okay. All right. Who would like to start?
So go through with it.
No, this sounds like some great ideas. I think we need to definitely move forward with them.
And this may expand or hopefully contract, but it may expand as well. This whole situation is very fluid. We may have other things that we would need to add to this at another meeting down the road. I've got a feeling we're going to be sitting here more than we care to think about over the next month or two. So I want to be proactive, and so if we need to add to this, we may have to. It's just all we can do for the people that we live with.
It seems like one of the things that staff's asking for here is some kind of budgetary amount or per business amount to come out with. I don't know if anyone has any suggestions there, if there's any form of.
I know there are other people. I'm sure there are other people in the community that can add more than I can, but in talking with some of the banks and reading some of the stuff regarding the SBA stuff that's coming out, it seems that initially there's a $25,000 unsecured or uncollateralized line of credit or loan to all businesses right off the top. So that's an area where maybe we could get involved in, at least because I know this is going to take some time for the SBA loans to get in place. And if we can somehow work with local lenders and or the SBA, maybe we can get in front of that and then roll it over into the SBA lending facility. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so some of the communications I received from the banks in writing is that they're looking to the Small Business Administration and don't believe that the banking industry needs to be involved at this time. And the federal government or Small Business Administration has stated that it will take them about 2 to 3 weeks on average to process the loans, with just about a week to disperse. But obviously there will be a lot of applications across the nation. So in terms of how quickly businesses can get those loans is,
Well, that's
think,
what I
yet to
heard
be.
today too, right? It could take, I know they're shooting for 3 to 4 weeks, but it could take 2 months getting the pipeline.
So most of our rents, for example, in small businesses are really around $3,000 or so, and our resources, our reserves are limited as well, and we still have to provide all of the essential operations for our citizens in our city. So I would urge us not to put too much out into the community when we as a city also need to conserve our cash, but at the same time, we might want to put some kind of program. So perhaps about $250,000 or so with $5,000 a business to start with, to just act now before and the SBA can kick in.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too, and I'd love to work with you on that. Anybody else, I suppose, could do the same. But and maybe we can go work with the landlords here in town and try to find a way to soften the blow for them too. I mean, to work with
I think if you're comfortable with those numbers, something that would be extremely helpful is provide specificity and confirm those numbers.
Okay.
To say like $250,000 put aside for $5,000 per business that needs assistance at this point.
Right.
I think it's a good
That's
start.
something we can act on much quicker and
Yes.
could always be paid back after a business receives an SBA
And that's
loan.
helping 50 separate businesses to get over the hump. It's not a hump. It's
Right.
to take a step, excuse me.
well, I'm
Maybe even more than 50
It
if they
could be
don't
more,
all
right?
need.
But I'm suggesting,
5,000.
what about
Correct.
talking to the landlords too and seeing if they can't give the renters a break? Because they're going to get some aid from the federal government too. There's got to be a way to work on both sides of that equation.
Especially your property's paid for. You're just paying
And
for
most of
taxes
these
on it.
are,
Yeah,
right.
a lot of them are. Everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah, possibly delaying the TOT or having them pay it over a period of time.
That's
or-
already in here.
because they're not exactly in the same boat as a lot of the retail restaurants and wine bars and all them are the ones that are going to be immediately
it's gonna be
they're
brutal.
immediately affected. They don't have the cash flow.
Yeah, we've been getting some inquiries from hotels saying that they just, with the cash flow, they can't afford to make those payments.
Yeah, or they
I've
can,
read
but they're
some.
going to have to close.
Yeah, in
So
fact, I
it's
just
something
got a
we have to
message that
consider.
Lansby is closed until the May 1st. I think the San Ynez Valley Inn is also closed until the same time. So it's happening.
Crazy.
I have some motions prepared. I'll just I'll list them off here and see if we get consensus. I'd like to direct staff to establish an emergency public and economic assistance program as follows. A, implement the policy to not shut off water or sewer service to any customer for non-payment during the state of emergency and waive all late payment penalties on charges incurred the period from February 1st, 2020 through the end of the state of emergency. B, establish emergency loan assistance programs for microloans up to $5,000 per business and with an initial authorized funding from city reserves of $250,000 to meet emergency cash flow needs for solving small businesses who are suffering significant losses as a result of the COVID-19 related economic cessation, and report back regularly to the council on the status of the program at the next available council meeting and advise on any further program recommendations. C, waive all penalties for late payment of transmit occupancy tax, TOT, with proof of financial hardship and develop a program for payment of TOT over time to recognize the need for investment in economic recovery until a minimum of May 30th to be revisited as conditions progress. I'll note there that staff has already sent out a survey to all the hoteliers, gathering some data that's going to basically tell us where they're at right now. What we've seen so far is, pretty much just cessation. D, explore and develop partnerships with financial institutions and lenders to defer mortgage payments, halt foreclosures, and provide other economic release for individuals and businesses facing economic hardship due to the COVID-19 situation. E, identify and facilitate delivery of resources, including through partnerships with other agencies, businesses, and nonprofits to safely assist people under self-quarantine due to COVID-19. And F, work with Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee and IDK to develop an economic recovery program, including training and resources for residents and businesses. And G, revise IDK contract to focus on emergency aid and response issues, including mitigation of economic cessation and recovery of planning and implementation.
So my only, I like the motion. I think my only caveat is I think we need to set end dates. I know saying by the end of the emergency. Yeah, I understand that, but I think you're better off to say as of, through the end of May, and we can always come back and reopen it. I just feel like you're safer to set a date.
So most of mine, I
Want a
think,
sunset
had
Your stuff
a
had
date.
that. I think the water, some of the penalties and stuff,
So
I get that.
maybe
but-
we just blanket revise that all those end as of May 30th
Right.
until revisited,
Revisited.
30 days prior?
It sounds good to me, yeah. Something like, I think that would be a good
I'll
amendment.
accept as amended.
Mayor Protem Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember DeJarnis,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Waite,
Yes.
Mayor Toussaint.
Yes. With that, move on to item number 5, implement fiscal contingency plan to address immediate emergency response and mitigate economic impacts. Could I get a staff report?
The recommendation is to provide staff with policy direction to make measures to provide emergency response and to adjust operations and expenditures to address economic impacts and ensure long-term fiscal health, including taking action to make immediate budgetary adjustments. In summary, as I have mentioned before, we are looking at, due to the economic cessation, a loss of revenue in the general fund of approximately $500,000 per month. This will last for 2 months at least. We expect it to potentially last longer, or at least have a lot of uncertainty in terms of how quickly recovery will begin. The way the city operations are funded is through the general fund. The most of our general fund funding comes from transit occupancy tax. It's about 50% of our total revenues, or $4.5 million. The next categories are sales tax, which is also being greatly impacted by the cessation and loss of sales, as we're very heavy on restaurants and entertainment, which are actually closed right now. Then the next one is property tax, that would be impacted if values were to be devalued if there was a recession. We have fees for services, which is basically a reimbursement for services that we do on planning and development side, primarily in some on parks. So as we see decrease in activity, we also will see a decrease in this revenue as well. And then we have overhead contributions from water and wastewater fund, and those are paying for the overhead of general fund departments, servicing water and wastewater, and if there were hardship from providing, non-payments and waiving fees on those funds, then we might also have to see some decline going to the general fund. And so what do these funds fund programmatically for the city? Well, these are all of our general services that the city provides to the city of Solvang. A lot of it is law enforcement services, goes to the County of Santa Barbara. Then we have your general administration services, so city manager, city clerk, finance, HR, IT. We have parks and recreation, which is our maintenance of parks and recreation programs. We have planning and building for our planning department, and the public works for engineering and maintenance divisions are general fund funded, as well as any and all general fund capital improvement projects. So paving, all of our general fund expenditures are coming from these funds. And infrastructure is also very important for us to maintain, regardless of the state of emergency. Then we have water fund, which is enterprise fund, which is fully funded by the fees for services at $4.9 million, and wastewater fund also funded by fees for services at $1.9 million a year. We have our transit that we run, which is fully funded by state and federal dollars and ridership fees. And we also receive some Measure A for our local transportation. So the disaster from COVID-19 impact is estimated to at least the loss of $500,000 a month for 2 months. So that's already $1 million. That's what we know. There's a lot of unknown going forward. We may see continued decline in our development services, continued decline in our parks and recreation, and we also yet to see what will happen to property tax. Even though federal government is working on economic stimulus, in the meantime, we know that there is a lot of uncertainty in the economy and how that will respond to this very unknown and unprecedented event. So the recommendation today is to, for the staff or for you to direct staff to develop a fiscal contingency response for the COVID-19 financial impact. And so number one recommendation would be to take immediate budgetary actions to address long-term revenue decline by adjusting ongoing operations, focusing on provision of essential services to our residents and businesses. So ensure we at all times can provide essential services even if there isn't a speedy recovery to our residents and businesses. To proactively work with federal and state government to secure available emergency funding, document all COVID-19 related losses and expenditures. To delay all non-essential projects while developing a strategy to address investment in essential and critical infrastructure. And then to finally develop cash management strategy to ensure not only budgetary realignment, but proactively manage anticipated decline in cash flow due to inability to pay for services by residents, businesses, and potentially other jurisdictions.
Thank you. I think it's just important for the council also to note or at least recognize that even though the immediate cessation stands for at least $500,000 in lost tax revenues to the general fund, primarily because we are so tourism dependent, there's a lot of other indirect impacts that have not been calculated yet. And so with that, you could see, far more dramatic decline of revenue coming into the general fund. I'll also point out that overhead contributions come from our two enterprise funds, primarily water and wastewater. There's a little bit that comes from the transit fund, but in the event that those, run unhealthy and our primary job is to get water to our residents and businesses, then that would also, potentially be another $500,000 loss to the general fund. So it's just a fluid thing, and then there's still, after you get past the cessation portion of everything, there's still the recovery aspect, and it does take capital to start things back up. But we're already talking about some potential programs here, so there's just a lot of unforeseen cost here. So we just have to be really cautious about this, because if you don't hit it just right, then you're going to have trouble on the recovery side. So. Are there any questions of the staff report?
I have one question.
Okay, Robert?
Relating to items 1 and 3, are we in the middle of contracts with consultants and advisors, i.e. wastewater treatment, other things that we can either postpone, or are we obligated to finish up with our contracts with the money that we're paying the consultants on some of the projects that they're working on?
We've already executed all the contracts for the, like,
And
the
they've been paid?
wastewater engineering.
Okay, so there's nothing else that we have to worry about going out for that kind of stuff right now.
But it's a good point to point out because, you know, one of the first questions that pops up in my head is, do we have any big projects coming up that we need to put on pause right now? Because I would not advise doing a multi-million-dollar, you know, public
Study.
works project or something.
Or
like
even a study for it yet.
You want to hold on to
Correct.
cash right now.
Yep, uh-huh. Okay, so we're good. Thank you.
Are there any questions of the staff report? Daniel? No? With that, we'll go to public comment. I have no public speaker slips. Would anyone like to speak on this item? With that, we'll take this back to the council for discussion and action. Who would like to start?
I think it looks good.
I've prepared some motions. I'll read them. Motion to direct city manager, emergency services director working with city attorney to immediately develop and implement measures to provide emergency response and adjust operations and expenditures to address economic impacts and ensure long-term fiscal health, including taking action to immediate budget adjustments with the goal to free up $1 million in cost savings as follows. A, realign all city staff and other resources to eliminate non-essential services and focus on the provision of the essential services of water, wastewater, public health and safety, maintenance, and mitigation impacts from economic cessation and prepare for recovery. B, track and seek advance payment for track and seek advance payment or reimbursement for all emergency-related costs or programs. C, report back to the council regularly on status of such mitigation and recovery program. D, seek regional and other partnerships to implement such program with the goal for eventual return to community of other services, but in cost-effective and sustainable manner in light of anticipated and extended recovery period.
That's a motion?
That's a motion.
I will second that
It's
motion.
been moved and seconded.
Mayor Protem Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember DeJarnius.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Waite.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Mayor TeSanto.
So with that, I believe, oh, did I not even say yes?
No. Well, I
Formally,
didn't call your
yes.
name, but Mayor
Passes
TeSanto.
5-0. All right.
Then you can infer.
With that, I just want to thank, you know, staff for working around the clock. Everyone is working really, really hard. IDK's been great with assisting us with anything that we need. And, I mean, Zena, you're working late. Chip, you're working late. Sorry, what? Anna.
Anna
Yes.
PR,
Great job.
she's doing a great job. So just want to thank everyone and again for being available here tonight. And with that, we will,
Wait.
I just,
I want to add one thing, too.
okay.
Yeah.
if I could
Besides
add,
saying goodbye to Ben.
Bye, Bent.
as things develop, I just want to mention that we do have capability with GoToMeeting to hold remote meetings for the
If it
council.
comes to that.
If it comes to that, we would just need to have probably a quick training with all of your laptops to make sure it goes smoothly, but we do have that capability and to have people call in for public comment.
I have one client. I think it's amazing as a council and as a resident here what was important to us 3 and 4 and 5 weeks ago with an acronym for a commission. It took up time, like the BAR, the traffic on Viborg, and it just really puts things in perspective on what is truly important for people here. And I really, really appreciate the work that you and your staff are doing on this because I know how hard you work. And the mayor is certainly not a figurehead. I appreciate the work you're doing as well, Ryan. That's all I got.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Anyone else?
Yeah, I don't want to put a downer on this whole meeting, but I think people need to consider.
Turn up?
People need to consider the realities of this situation. This could go on for months. I don't think that this is gonna be over in a matter of a month or two. This could go on for anywhere from 3 to 5 months. And then we still have the long, hard work of recovery. So I think it's incumbent on us to do what we can to help people understand this is not a sprint. This is a marathon to get through.
It's pretty significant when you think about our CAFRs. It takes a really hard-working administration, you know, a whole year to put away $500,000 into reserves, and we're looking at a situation here where we'll be bleeding far more than that per month.
Right. There's another thing I want to bring up, and I hate to say this because it's not very fun to think about, but CalPERS was already in bad situation before this market meltdown.
Yep.
I have no doubt that it is now below the 55% threshold, which means it's probably technically insolvent, and that's another matter that we're going to have to look into as a municipality. Can you find more information from our representative?
Sure, I can see what I can find.
Thank you.
Karen, do you have any comments?
I have no comments, thank you.
Okay. With that, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.